What is up, Insaners? And welcome to our first stream of the season. Welcome to the stream, Match Day 2, Limitless stream, Match Day 2, UCL Deadline stream. How are you guys doing? Are you ready? It's almost less than an hour to go to the deadline, and the matches are, of course, going to start. We've got the lineups for Inter Milan and Tottenham as well. But first of all, how are you guys doing? Are you on your Limitless chip? I am on my Limitless chip. This is my Limitless draft as well. And I think it's going to be a very interesting week. A lot of good fixtures, a lot of good games. And do let me know what kind of games or what fixtures are you looking forward to. I'm especially looking forward to the Tottenham game as well, because that's going to give us some idea in terms of how are playing. Because I have a single player. I'm sure a lot of you might also have Son, etc. Then we also have the Bayern game tonight, and I think that's going to be a really, really interesting game. So I think a lot to look forward to. I think a lot of questions and a lot of things that people are kind of mulling over in terms of whether to use the limitless chip, whether to use the wild card, what to do if you're not kind of planning to use these kind of chips, etc. So do let me know what questions you have. Do let me know if you have any doubts, anything that you would want to ask. Of course, I'm also comparatively newer to the game. I've done a lot of research. I do write blogs. I've looked into the game a lot, but I'm not a veteran in any sort of capacity, etc. But yeah, I'll try to help you guys out. I'll try to help my thoughts as well. So in case if you feel that there's something that we can improve on in terms of our team, etc., do feel free to add that in the comments. I think in general, so my first game week, and do let me know how your game week 1 or match day 1 was. I think I scored 100 points, so it was decent. I mean, not that great, to be very honest, considering that I've been seeing scores of people who have scored about 110 points, 120 points. People have all sort of these crazy ranks, but I think it's okay, it's fine. It's just one match day so far. There's still a lot to go, a lot to look forward to in terms of what all will be coming in terms of games, in terms of point scoring opportunities and all of that stuff. But I think it's going to be interesting. I personally felt that for my own team, and of course you might have a different opinion here, but for my own team, I think it was more designed for match day 1, and I think it was, of course, I kind of got the blunt of it by not going with Lewandowski captaincy, because Haaland had kind of done pretty well, and I'm sure a lot of you would also be in that similar sort of a boat. But I think overall it was much more designed to cater to the match day 1 sort of fixtures. And then I had kind of made up my mind earlier that I'll possibly look at a match day 2 limitless chip, followed by a match day 3 wild card, which I think a lot of people are also kind of looking for or looking towards. I know there are some cheeky guys who are trying to figure out what other ways or what other possibilities are there in terms of a wildcard usage. And I've seen players, I've seen managers, fantasy managers, kind of also thinking about playing their wildcard, playing their limited chip, etc., especially during the knockout phases, and that's a very interesting strategy. Penguin, you're asking Gosens, Dumfries, or Theo Hernandez. I think all three are, to be very honest, really good options. I think Theo Hernandez has the advantage of having a Dumfries that, first of all, he's starting, so of course we know that he will be playing. So that's definitely a good thing. I know a lot of people talk about his attacking threat, and I feel there is some attacking threat. I understand if you're probably not as convinced as maybe like a Trent, for example, going forward. Dumfries might not offer the same attacking threat, but I still feel the fixture's really good for Inter. I think there's definitely a clean sheet in there, unless Prison really kind of plays out of their skins and do something spectacular. I still feel Dumfries is a really good option for a clean sheet. Plus, he has some attacking threat. I won't really say it's that high, but I mean, still decent. So I think out of all these three options, if I had to choose one, I think Dumfries is a really good option. In fact, you won't believe that he's also one of my captaincy punts. In case if you are looking to captain a differential player, I've seen people, I've seen myself also kind of thinking towards that direction, where I try to captain a very crazy, very differential player, and then try to gain ranks. I mean, that's a valid strategy, and because of that, I think Dumfries is also a really good option. Whether he's gonna give us points in terms of ball recoveries, etc., again, not very sure there, but I think overall I think he could be a decent option to go for. Having said that, Theo Hernandez, is also a good bet, but I just feel, I mean, it's pretty close between both of them, Dumfries and Theo Hernandez, but I think Dumfries just edges it for me, because I trust the Inter defense a little bit more. Of course, you might have a different opinion here, but I think Dumfries is a pretty good option to go for, and that's why I have him in my team as well. He's also one of the captaincy picks as well, if you can see on the screen as well. So I think he's going to be a good pick We know that he's starting, so at least we have that security. And I think in terms of the other picks also, I mean, do let me know what you guys are thinking in terms of, going for Sane, players like Sane, Son, etc. I mean, what are you thinking? Are you kind of going towards there? Are you thinking of a Son, punt because Son is now starting? I mean, should we kind of go ahead and, take out Sane because maybe Son has a slightly better fixture again? A lot of people might think that, Lisbon is actually a strong fixture or not that great on paper as well for Tottenham. But again, Sane as well. I mean, he's doesn't really have it that easy at all. I mean, he's facing Barcelona, which is not going to be easy. But we've seen in the past as well. I think Sane is a good pick, and especially from a fantasy perspective, I think I really like him still. I mean, I had Son earlier. Now I've kind of gone with Sane. So let's see what happens there. It still might change before the deadline, but I think let's see. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty close. Struggling to pick. Also, what are your thoughts on Trent? I mean, I like Trent. So I play FPL as well. And in case if you wanna, check out our FPL playlist as well, we do daily FPL content. We've been doing that for the past couple of years as well. And I really like him from an FPL point of view. I mean, he's really really good. I mean, going forward, of course, FPL is played slightly differently in terms of how we approach the game. And that appeal might not be as high in UCL Fantasy, where of course, bonus points are not that common. I mean, it's just 1 3-pointer for the man of the match. Of course, there's slight difference in terms of ball recovery, etc., which Trent again might be okay, giving us. But I'm just not very confident in that Liverpool defense, especially how they've performed. Of course, they've got some break and they might have had some time to reflect on their season so far, get that right on the training pitch, etc. And I think at home Liverpool is always a strong team to kind of face and play. In fact, if you are having Liverpool assets, but I'm just not. I mean, consider Liverpool's Trent as maybe an attacker here because he does have a significant attacking threat. In fact. And because of that reason, I mean, he's still okay. But personally, for me, I know a lot of teams would have Trent, and he's already a very popular asset. But I just feel, maybe a Cancelo, for example, maybe even a Perisic. Now that we know Perisic is starting, I mean, Perisic also could be a great differential option because I think Trent would be owned by a lot. I'm personally not very bullish on a Liverpool clean sheet because Ajax are a decent team. I mean, especially when we talk about their attack, I think they're a decent team to to play at Anfield. I know it's at Anfield, and Liverpool probably are going to be a different proposition, but I think Trent, they're better options than Trent, to be very honest. Do you consider taking Baklav, Jamaica in defense instead of Cancelo? I mean, especially on a limitless chip, if you are on a limitless, I think, I mean, you can definitely make a case, but I just feel Cancelo has a lot of points outlets. I mean, we've seen that he can score goals. We've seen that Man City are a good defense, though Dortmund are playing decent. I mean, they're a decent attack, to be very honest, but I think Man City has the potential to keep a clean sheet. Cancelo, we know how he plays, special when we talk about just footballing sense and footballing terms. I think there's a lot of potential there in terms of, getting that man of the match award. If let's say if he keeps a clean sheet, maybe gets an assist, etc. And if it's not a very high scoring game, I mean, there are definite chances of Cancelo, getting that man of the match as well. Plus, he will get ball recovery points. Plus, he will get those clean sheet points. There is attacking threat as well. So overall, I just feel Cancelo is the much better option to go for. I know he's popular, so maybe if you're looking at differential options, etc., maybe go for a Perisic, as I mentioned earlier. But I just feel on a limitless chip, I mean, where money is not a bar at all. I think not having these sort of, I mean, you don't, of course, have to go for these premium options just because you have unlimited money. And I understand that logic, definitely, because we, at the end of the day, we still have to target the best fixtures, target the best players from those fixtures, and then kind of make that limitless team. But I just feel Cancelo, with whatever he's shown us in FPL, in football for Man City this season, I think he's definitely one player that you would want in your UCL fantasy team. Do you think Hakimi will play or Ramos is safer? I mean, yeah, I understand that there's again a lot of conversation around Hakimi getting benched, but I really feel that Hakimi. I mean, considering that he's been doing okay, considering that he has attacking threat as well. I still feel whatever we hear in the news, whatever we hear in the media, etc. I just have a feeling that he will start because he's definitely the better player. Yes, I mean they could be an early sub, etc. That's absolute possibility. But I just have a sense. I just have a gut feel about Hakimi playing this week. Ramos is definitely safer. I mean, if you just look at absolute minutes, I think he's definitely safer. But there is just more potential with a Hakimi. Yes, you're taking a slight risk in terms of minutes, etc. But I just feel that Ramos might not be as high in terms of points. I mean, the ceiling might not be as high as Hakimi, and that's the reason I prefer the slightly riskier Hakimi. If this was FPL, for example, if this was maybe just football in general, I mean, maybe Ramos was a better option, etc. Because he might be more nailed. But I just feel, considering UCL Fantasy is played in a slightly different way, I just feel that Hakimi is the better option here. UCL stream from something new, absolutely something new that we are trying. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. Let me know if you guys have any feedback, in case if you have anything to add, in case if you want us to do anything specific. We also did a UCL team guide, which was a match day 2 ultimate guide. I try to condense a lot of information in one video. Of course, a lot of you might want smaller or shorter videos, etc. And that's also a possibility that we can probably look into. But I'm really interested in this game. I'll be very, very honest. I have not really played it for a very long time, or I'm not a veteran by any means at all. In fact, this is probably my first year of playing it seriously. I've been playing FPL, so I understand the game. I understand football because I'm a football fan, and I'm a Man United fan for about 2 decades now. So that's where I am coming from, and I hope that this kind of takes off. And depending on, of course, the response that we get, we will keep on adding new stuff. If you also are on Instagram, we also have an Instagram channel, Insanely Football, where we do a lot of we are doing UCL content and other fantasy content as well, so you can check that out if that really interests you. Dumfries captain punt before I eventually switch to Neymar. I mean, that's the fun of UCL, right? I mean, that's one thing I really like about this game, is that we have an option to go for that differential, sort of a crazy option in our minds. Of course, I mean, that option can absolutely do well, because I've seen a lot of managers, UCL managers, going for wild punts in game week, in match day 1 here, and doing really well, and that could absolutely happen. But that's what that's the beauty of this game. I mean, you get an opportunity to correct yourself if things go wrong, if you have gone too far, and you can always get yourself back. So yeah, I mean, Dumfries is a really good. I mean, see, to be very honest, there are not really any clear-cut opportunities in on day 1, especially because we have Lewandowski, who's probably the informed player that you would want. We also have Sane. Of course, both of them are playing each other, and they're not easy fixtures. Bayern, at home is decent. Bayern is kind of. I mean, it's just weird to imagine that this is their worst start in, I think, in a really, really long time. I forgot the year since when they started this bad, but I mean, they've not lost yet. Having said that, I mean, yes, there could be a potential opportunity for a Barca goal. Whether Barca is really going to dominate Bayern, that's a totally different story. Plus, the whole Lewandowski, picture is also there in mind, in terms of how or what he can do, considering that he's going back to Bayern. There'll be a lot of maybe baggage, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's just going to be a fiery game, and I'm really looking forward to see that. But yeah, I mean, this really gives us an opportunity to switch to Neymar and Mbappe. They are clear standout options when we talk about day 2 of match day 2. We also have Haaland, but I just feel Dortmund are a much stronger opposition than what PSG is facing this week. And I just feel, I mean, there's more ceiling, better upside, more potential with an Mbappe. We know that Mbappe is the focal point in that PSG attack, and that is really exciting to see, from an FPL or from an UCL perspective. So yeah, really looking forward to that captaincy as well. And of course, we can always switch back to the PSG options in case if the the punt that we take on day 1 doesn't work. You're looking to have also having a look at Reece James, but I really like Reece James again. Having played fantasy in FPL for some time now, I think he's a really good option. Now, whether that option really translates into something from a UCL perspective is, I think, very interesting. I mean, I have a couple of reasons here. I feel that because of Graham Potter now coming in, I genuinely feel that Chelsea's defense is going to get stronger. I mean, it's going to get much tighter. Whether they play a back 4, where they continue with the back 3, and James, etc., playing for playing as a wing back, and Chilwell or maybe a Cucurella on the other side. I mean, that's something that we have to see. But I just want to understand Chelsea, maybe for a week, maybe for a couple of games, and that probably also includes a Premier League game as well. That also might give us some idea in terms of what to do with them. Let's say if we plan to get them on a wildcard, for example, or maybe look at those picks in isolation. I mean, that's also an option, right? So I just want to personally see, I mean, even if you go for a Reece James or even a Sterling for that matter, especially if you are on limitless, where money is not a problem, I think these options are really good. I mean, they're a bit risky because Chelsea haven't looked that great, but of course that was under a different manager, under different circumstances, and now things probably would be changing. We might see a manager bounce as well, as we kind of associate in football a lot, where a new manager suddenly comes in, changes the entire atmosphere, changes maybe the structure of the team, maybe how they play, how they approach games, how maybe they approach tournaments, etc. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see, and because of that, I'm okay waiting on Chelsea maybe for a week. Better to go with Neymar and Mbappe, or I think if you are looking at options, Neymar and Mbappe definitely has the higher ceiling. Reason being because they are, of course, playing a much weaker opposition, and I think there is more potential to points there. Lewandowski is the informed pick, as I mentioned earlier. He's scoring a lot of goals, but again, if you just look at fixture, if you ignore the form and just look at the fixture in isolation, I just feel Neymar and Mbappe are better combinations. The only downside, I mean, there's also a downside with this particular option of Neymar and Mbappe, is that let's say if you are not very confident, or if you don't have a lot of options in terms of captaincy on match day one, or day one of match day two, then I think you'll probably lose one captaincy option, because Lewandowski is a decent captaincy option as well. I mean, they aren't really clear cut options. We have the likes of Salah, Son, we have Sane or a Mane, for example, who aren't very clear cut picks. So let's see. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. But I just feel if you have a decent captaincy option, I don't, and if you're not planning to captain Lewandowski, which for my own team I am, but let's see how that goes. But I think if you are sorted, or if you are set on a captaincy option which is not, Lewandowski, then maybe Neymar and Mbappe is the better pick, or the better combination. Thank you so much, Mickey, for asking that question. I hope I was able to help you. Good luck to you as well, United. Was going for 3 City assets against a good Dortmund side an easy decision? I mean, it's not an easy decision, to be very honest. I mean, on a limitless where you don't have any limit on the funds, I think it's not that easy to pick a squad, because of course you have decent fixtures to target. I mean, you can target the Tottenham fixture as well. I have not seen a lot of people having double ups and even triple ups from Tottenham. I don't think so. It's going to be that popular at all. I've hardly seen teams with an inter midfielder or an attacker. The fixture is actually good from an attacking sense. So it's definitely not easy. A lot of other options as well to kind of look at. But I just feel with the form that City are showing, I mean, it's a lot on Haaland as well, right? I mean, the whole team is kind of playing towards Haaland's strength, and that's what we've seen in the Premier League so far. We've also seen that in the Champions League already. He will score a lot of goals, and Man City are a team who create a lot of chances. And that creative engine for Man City is Kevin De Bruyne. So if you look at the overall picks and the 3 picks, even against a stronger Dortmund team, I mean, what's to say that Man City can't beat Dortmund by at least 2 or 3 goals? I mean, of course, I don't. Let's hope, or maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it's a much tighter game, but I just feel with the form that City are showing, with the way they are playing, and with the way they're destroying teams, I just feel it's really looking good from an attacking point of view. Yes, you could argue that Dortmund are a decent attack as well, and they might score because Man City also have conceded chances. They've conceded goals as well. They aren't really keeping. It's too early to say all of that stuff, but I just feel this is not a defense who's going to keep clean sheets in every game. Of course, Man City, the way they play, because of the way they control possession, because of the way they have the ball. I mean, there's always an odd mistake, one odd random pass that they will give, which might lead to a mistake, and that mistake might lead to a goal as well. So there's always a chance for Man City defenders to lose a clean sheet. But yeah, let's see. I just feel it's not an easy decision, especially if you are on limitless. But I think it's okay going for 3 Man City players as well. In case if it really messes up, or if things go really wrong, I have some options on the bench as well, and that's I think the advantage of playing UCL Fantasy, because I have Hernandez, I have Hakimi as well. And in fact, if all of my day one players do play well, I mean, it's going to be a big dilemma in terms of which player to kind of take off, because I have some very good options on the bench, and that's the problem with Limitless as well. Because money is not a bar, money is not an issue. You can get really good options. I mean, I really want to play Zelensky, but of course, we'll see what happens tonight, and based on that, we'll probably take a call on that. Hi, Brian. Welcome to the UCL stream as well. I hope you've been enjoying the game. I am really looking forward to this game this season. Do you think Son is one of the top midfield options on Limitless? I mean, he's not a bad option to be very honest. He's looked a lot better in the Premier League games that he's played. A lot of people were kind of concerned whether he's going to start or not. We've seen the lineups; he is starting, so there is potential, but it's an away game for Tottenham. Sporting aren't really that sort of a team. I mean, yes, you maybe if you look at the quality of both teams, you would definitely say that Tottenham are a lot better, but I mean, Son has shown in shades and spaces that he off of what he was last season. He's still not there yet. He's getting better. Of course, he's getting better. But I just don't think that he's the standout midfield option. I mean, I would possibly look at a Sane or even a Mane. I know it's against Barcelona. The fixture is going to be actually tricky, but they are informed players. Even Salah. I mean, I know not only a lot of people would be heavy on Salah, but I think Salah playing at home, Liverpool getting that break, maybe Klopp, sorting things out. I mean, that's a possibility. We don't expect Liverpool to be down there out of Champions League, not even finishing the top four, top six, right? I mean, Liverpool are a top team. They have really good players. So I mean, if a Salah doesn't interest you, maybe maybe somebody like a Diaz as well. I mean, Diaz has definitely been Liverpool's best attacker. I mean, if you've followed Liverpool's Premier League games and maybe other competitions as well, I mean, it's just that he's playing a lot better. He's playing with a lot more freedom. He is getting himself into more promising positions than Salah, who's generally been staying wide and not been involved in play for a lot of the games. Yes, he does tend to generate xG and does tend to create chances. I mean, he's looked a lot more creative this season. But yeah, I mean, Diaz is also one option to kind of go for. So there are different options, especially on Limitless. I think there are multiple options. I've seen a lot of people going for Rodrigo as well as a double up, with the Real Madrid midfield as well. So Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo, I think both of them could be great picks, especially, I mean, but the one side of the argument is that without Benzema, they might struggle to score, to create, etc. But I possibly come from a different opinion where, both these options could be a lot better now. And I think a double up is going to be a huge differential because a lot of people would be having the likes of KDB, Salah, maybe Sane, popular options, and maybe you can differentiate there. Sane's UCL record is actually good. I mean, yes, that's one of the reasons. I mean, he's a great, he's a great player in terms of Champions League. That translates well into UCL Fantasy as well. So I think makes a lot more sense to kind of go for Sane. Of course, having said that, Mane is also not a bad option. I mean, the fixture is the same for both the players, and I still feel both of them have a chance to do well this game week or this match day, and I think both of them are decent picks. Was the question, is Mane a much better option than Sane, or the other way around, or Sane is a much better option than Mane? I mean, both options are good, as I said, but if I'm preferring somebody right now because of Sane's record, because of how he's been playing, I mean, there's always a chance of an odd benching with Sane, but with that sort of form that he's showing right now, I mean, it's possibly going to be very difficult. Uh, Outrightly in isolation, if you look at both options, I think both Sane and Mane are good options. I think Mane is probably a little bit more safer in terms of minutes, but I think both are really good. And if I'm probably picking one option, it'll be Sane at the moment, which I have. What are you doing, guys, in terms of the other options? I mean, who's your keeper? I do you have How many players do you have for today? I mean, that's also very interesting. I've seen a lot of people, getting stuck with a lot lesser options on the second day of any particular match day, maybe match day 1, 2, or whichever match day you're playing, and then they don't really have a lot of options to kind of substitute from. And I think maintaining an overall balance is quite important. Having those the best possible scenarios, maybe 7 players on day one, or maybe 8 players on day one, and then 7 on day 2. But again, even till the time you have about 4 or 5 players who give you options to kind of make those transfers, I think it's absolutely fine. Son or Sterling, if I had to go both, sorry, for one option, I think it'll be Son. Sterling is still, I mean, it's a bit of an unknown, to be very honest. Not really sure, what to expect. Though Sterling has been, if you look at past form of the season itself, I think Sterling would be the pick to kind of go for. But I just feel I'm not very sure as well. I don't think so. Sterling is gonna be benched, but I'm just not very sure about what what is Potter going to do, and what system or what structure is he going to play. That just makes me think that I'll possibly go with the known devil, which is Son in this case. And I know that Sterling has been in slightly better form than Son, but I mean it's not really a huge difference. Yes, in terms of attacking returns, Sterling has definitely been a lot better in the Premier League, but this is a different tournament, a different opposition, a different difficulty as well. So let's see. I mean, I'll possibly just edge it towards Son, but I mean both picks are of equal footing, to be very honest. Hey Math, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. Not interested in UCL. I mean that's absolutely fine. I think a lot of people aren't really interested in the game, but that's absolutely fine. But I mean you should definitely try it out, even if it's for fun. I think it's a very interesting game. Gives you a fresh perspective. Gives you something different from FPL, especially if you are playing FPL. Should I punt and play Brozovic and Inter Milan midfielder, or bring in Son? I have on a limitless. I still feel Son is the better option to go for. I mean, Inter is also a big punt, right? I mean, I understand the appeal of Inter's attack, but because of so many good options, especially in midfield, I mean, you have the likes of KDB, you have the likes of Vinicius Junior, you have Salah, Diaz, Sane, Mane. I mean, there's so many options to go for. It's just difficult to fit in an Inter Milan, midfield. I'll possibly look at doubling on their defense, or maybe having at least one defender, if not more, because the fixture looks really, really good from a clean sheet perspective. And I'll try to bank on those points instead of maybe going for Brozovic, because I mean, there's a slight risk always with somebody like him, right? We know how Son plays. We know how Sane, Salah, etc. All these kind of players play. I mean, they are pivotal to their team's attack, and I just feel, it could be a decent bet. Having 6 players playing today, I mean, yeah, I think that's all right. To be very honest, shouldn't be a problem. Who should I captain on day two? Neymar, Mbappe. I just feel Mbappe is the focal point of PSG, and it just makes me think that he's probably gonna. I mean, both of them would be a lot more closer to goal than certain Lionel Messi. That's absolutely sure. But I just feel on. I mean, it's not very different, or I mean, it's not a very clear choice on paper. But when you look at him on the field, I just feel Mbappe is the main guy and main man to get all those chances, score a lot more goals, and I just feel he's the better captaincy option. If the conversation is between Neymar and Mbappe, I think Mbappe is definitely better. Take up the next one. Kvaratskhelia, I hope I've got that name right. Versus Rangers, a good option is a good differential option, to be very honest. I mean, if you are looking at a differential pick, he's definitely somebody that you can probably consider. And yes, I mean, you would be probably letting go of certain options which are slightly more popular, but I think that's fine. I mean, there's no one way of playing UCL fantasy as well. I mean, Napoli has started the season very strongly, and I mean they've not lost this season so far. They were really, really good against Liverpool as well. He and Kvaratskhelia has also started the last 6 of his 7 games, 7 matches that he's been available for, and also the Champions League game. So I think it's a great sign. I mean, I will be slightly worried in terms of minutes, but I think it's still good. I mean, he's a great differential. I don't think so. A lot of people would be going for him. He can score goals. He's already scored 4 goals. He can give assists as well. I think he's got 2 already this season, and I think 6 returns in 6 matches is actually pretty good. So I mean, a decent differential to go for if you're looking at a differential, considering that he's very cheap as well. I mean, I think he's 5.5 if I'm not wrong, and I think you can do a lot more. Of course, if you are on a limitless, then you have different options, but if you probably are not using a limitless, I think he's a great option to go for. Sporting is good and Son isn't consistent. I mean, yeah, it's quite difficult to kind of predict what Tottenham is going to do, because they're still not a very predictable team, to be very honest. I mean, Richarlison did really well last time around. We've seen Kulusevski starting the season really well. Then Kane kind of coming into the frame and taking over as the possible best attacker for Tottenham. So there's always a chance where the attacking returns might be shared. We've seen that Son is. I mean, he's still not at the same level. I mean, nowhere close, absolutely, as compared to what he was, last season. But I still feel, I mean, Sporting is a good team. There is absolutely no doubt about that, and that's possibly what kind of tempted me to, look at other options. Look at even Sane, who's probably having a slightly tougher fixture as compared to a Son. But yeah, I mean, you could be right. Kane might score. There might be other options, might be other players. Perisic might be involved as well, and I think Perisic being a defender, I think that's, and a differential as well. I think that's a really good option. If you're looking at differential options, I think Kane is possibly the better pick. But my worry is that when you have players like Haaland, Mbappe, Lewandowski, you even have Neymar, who's not making into a lot of teams because of the fact that people are having Lewandowski in their teams, and I think that just makes me kind of think that maybe Kane is the better option. But because of so many good options available, I think it's kind of difficult to to fit in Kane. Who's Zelensky? A great differential, to be very honest. I mean, he's playing for Napoli. He's done really well. He is playing against Rangers, who've conceded a lot of goals this season. I think in the last two games or so, they've conceded about 6 or 7, maybe I think slightly more goals. I'm forgetting the number here, but I mean there is potential in Zelensky. He's on penalties, and I think he has been one of the standout players for Napoli considering the kind of start that they've had in Serie A. I mean, it's been really, really refreshing to see Napoli playing so well. So he could be a differential. He's playing on day two. So if if I have some options which have blanked, uh, I have defenders to, of course, replace defenders. But if I get somebody in midfield, maybe Salah blanks or maybe somebody else blanks, then I can easily get Zelensky and give it a shot. I mean, of course, is with fantasy games, with UCL fantasy as well. I mean, you can't really say 100% this player is gonna score or gonna do really well. But I mean, that just gives me a differential option, which I don't think so a lot of people have. I mean, not a lot of people are talking about Zelensky, which could be interesting. I mean, he could give us a different perspective in terms of going for a slightly differential option. So let's see. Any options for day one forwards other than Lewandowski or Barca or any Barca player? I mean, there is Kane for sure. So if you're looking at a differential option, you can go for Kane. If you're looking at another differential option, I mean, Inter also has a good fixture, especially from an attacking sense, and I don't think so a lot of people are going for Martinez. So if you are looking at a differential option, I mean, Martinez could be a decent bet. uh, so yeah, I mean, these are some options apart from a Lewandowski or even Barca players or even PSG players for that matter. So there are a couple of picks you can go for. Other than those two, I don't think so. I'll look at any other options, to be very fair. I mean, I've seen a lot of teams having Rafael Leo as well from AC Milan, who has a good fixture, but I just feel the other options have a slightly higher upside and slightly higher potential. Who to captain today depends on who you have. Yeah, to be very honest, I mean, if you have Lewandowski, I think Lewandowski has the potential to score and do well this week. Uh, so yeah, I've gone for him. Other than that, you can go for a Salah or a Son. We know that Son's starting now, so that's an option. If you have a Bayern midfielder, for example, let's say if you have a Sane or a Mane, I mean, both of them are decent options to go for. So that's also a possibility. I mean, if you really want to go absolutely crazy, maybe go for a Dumfries, for example. I mean, that could be a really interesting punt because you have a chance to correct that mistake if that kind of turns out to be a mistake. I think Dumfries is also a good option to go for. A slightly differential, then you have the likes of Martinez, maybe Kane as well. So again, depends on who you have and how much or how differential you want to go for it for day one, because day two we still have some decent options to kind of go for. Hernandez or Carvajal, I think it'll be Hernandez. I mean, both are good options, but I'm slightly, tilting towards Hernandez. Gives me a differential, gives me a slightly different, maybe a differential option. I think Carvajal also would be less owned. But I think Hernandez playing the second day also gives us that flexibility of, getting him on if he doesn't kind of, if one of my defense picks or if one of my players in my team doesn't do well on day one. Thoughts on Perisic captain? I like it, to be very honest. I know a few people have also gone for Perisic captaincy, and it might not be the worst decision, to be very honest. I mean, I'm kind of tipping Dumfries to do well. On the same hand, I think at the same time, I think Perisic also. Sporting is going to be a tricky fixture. I mean, it's an away fixture, so I think it's going to be a trickier game. Perisic, I think we know with the additional rest that Premier League players have got because of the Premier League games getting postponed last week. I think Perisic, of course, has the potential to maybe even play the whole game. Of course, it depends on what is the game state. If Tottenham are losing, maybe they're drawing. If they're winning comfortably, then I'm a little worried for Perisic because though he might have given us some returns by then, but there's always a chance of him coming off, and there are other options in that wingback. Wingback roles. So I think good captaincy option, a differential option to go for. I mean, if you have a set captaincy option for day two, and you have maybe an Mbappe, maybe a Haaland in your team, then I think don't have to worry about it too much. Both are good options, Perisic and Dumfries. I mean, to be very honest, if I look at attacking potential in isolation, I think Perisic is slightly better. Uh, because he of course we've seen that he can cross the ball, he can do really well. Defensively, I mean, you can argue that he's not a great defender, to be very honest, but his strength doesn't really lie in defending, whereas Dumfries is a lot better in maybe getting ball recoveries and that sort of aspect into the UCL fantasy game. Should I take a punt on Brozovic? Just have a feeling. I mean, if you have a feeling about it, if you have a gut feeling about it, absolutely, why not? I just feel it's not going to be very different from both the options. But if you genuinely feel that he's going to do well, I mean, why not? Go for it, take a chance. Let's see what happens. I mean, I'm sure, again, till the time you have a decent bench to kind of, cover off Brozovic, why not? Give it a shot, take a chance, and yeah, I mean, hopefully he gives you a return. I think that should be good. Tavares or Bergwijn for captain. I mean, I don't really like both options, to be very honest. But if I'm going for one captaincy option, I'll probably look at Bergwijn. I know it's against Liverpool, and it's at home for Liverpool, but I just feel it might be a better fixture. Frankfurt as well. I mean, Marseille could do really, really well. They might even keep a clean sheet, but I just feel I always go for the attacker, and in UCL fantasy as well, I'll possibly back the attacker. Liverpool have not shown uh, anything of any sort which kind of makes us believe that they will be tight defensively, or they will keep a lot of clean sheets, etc. So I just feel Bergwijn has it's going to be a very tricky game for Bergwijn, that is absolutely there, but I think there is potential for Bergwijn to get about 7-8 points, maybe slightly even more, if Liverpool really collapse in defense. Should I captain Brozovic or Perisic? I will do Perisic. I think if both the options are there, I'll definitely captain Perisic out of both. Guys, a couple of minutes to go before the deadline. Do send me your questions. Do let me know if you want to ask anything, if you want to check anything, if you have any concerns regarding lineups, etc. If you want to know anything about any particular player, do let me know in the comments, or else just save your team. Fingers crossed, and hopefully your captaincy punt Lewandowski, in my case, I mean, let's just hope he does really well and he gives me good points this week. But anyways, thank you so much for joining. It was a short stream this time around. We had some issues in terms of tech. Hopefully it's gonna get sorted out next week. We'll probably have a much longer stream. Still trying to sort out a few things at the back end, but I hopefully, I mean, they should be all good. Depending on the response, I mean, we will get, or I'll check how the other video that we did this week is doing. Based on that, we might include this as a regular thing for going forward. And I think it's going to be interesting. The interest is definitely picking up in this game. I see a lot more people playing UCL fantasy than earlier seasons, and I think the interest is definitely there. But yeah, couple of more minutes, guys. All the best for this match day. I mean, I'm still getting used to the fact of saying it as match day, because I'm so used to talking about game weeks and FPL. But all the best. Have a great match day. Do watch out games if you can. I know for a lot of folks the timing is a bit odd. For me as well, it's a bit weird to kind of see those late night matches. But yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. Of course, look out for more content on our Instagram channel as well. Do hit the subscribe button if you've not subscribed to our channel as well. We will be doing UCL content regularly or continuously this season. We also do FPL and fantasy Premier League content as well. So in case if you're interested in that, make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, and you follow us on Instagram as well. Great, guys. I think we've reached deadline. So that'll be it for this video, this a deadline stream. Promise to do this a little longer next time around. I think this was about 45 minutes, if I'm not wrong. But hopefully it's a lot longer next time. Do join us for the next stream as well. You can always reach out to me on Instagram, on Twitter as well. I do write blogs as well, so there's a lot of content that I work on a weekly basis. So do check check that out. I think it's really going to help you. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining again. We'll call it a day, call it a night here. All the best for this week, and I will see you all next week. Bye bye.